Namaste. I and you both pray. Hopefully not to each other, right? The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Book 1, verse 10. Sleep is a fluctuation of mind stuff supported by the cause, pratyaya, that it's tamas, of the transient negation of the waking and the dreaming fluctuations. And this fluctuation, by operation of connecting memory, becomes upon waking a special kind of presented idea, pratyaya. How is it that one can reflect, I have slept well, my mind is calm, it makes my understanding clear. I have slept poorly, my mind is dull, it wanders unsteadfast. I have slept in a deep stupor, my limbs are heavy, my mind remains unrefreshed, klanta, and languid, as if it were stolen from my grasp. The answer is, the man, just after waking, would of course not have this connecting memory. But there had not been, during sleep. Oh, had there not been, during sleep, some experience of this form of a cause, pratyaya, that is tamas, nor would he have had the memories based upon it and corresponding with it at the time of waking. Therefore, sleep is a particular kind of presented idea, pratyaya, and in concentration, it also, like any other presented idea, must be restricted. Verse 10 again. Sleep is a fluctuation supported by the cause of the negation. For the word fluctuation, given in the topical Sutra 1, verse 5, is made the subject of an assertion here. Because, with regard to the sources of valid ideas and misconceptions and predicate relations, and memories being fluctuations, there is no disagreement among investigators. Therefore, this word is made the subject of an assertion, anodiyat, namely, that one of the fluctuations is sleep, in order that this particular fluctuation may be mentioned. But as whether sleep is a fluctuation or not, there is disagreement among investigators. Accordingly, it must be expressly said that it is a fluctuation, and the fact that the matter in hand, namely that one of the fluctuations is sleep, is made the subject of an assertion, cannot serve as an express statement to the fact that sleep is a fluctuation. Consequently, the word fluctuation is used here again. The fluctuation is called sleep, the object or support of which is a cause, pratyaya. That is, a cause. Karana, the tamas, which covers over the substance, sattva, of the thinking substance, for the transient negation of the fluctuations of waking are dreams. For the substance of the thinking substance has three aspects. And when tamas, the cover of all the organs, preponderates over sattva and rajas and becomes manifest, avis, then, because there is no mutation of the thinking substance into form of an object, the self, aware of a thinking substance, which consists of intensified tamas, is in deep sleep and inwardly conscious. That is, it is explained. Thus it is explained. An object, why not consider sleep to be merely an absence of fluctuation, as in the case of restricted isolation? Ka evalya. He answers this, and this fluctuation by the operation of connecting memory, that is, of remembrance, which can be made the basis of an argument. So papapatika is a special kind of presented idea. How is this argument? He replies. When tamas is manifest in company with sattva, then the connecting memory of a man just arisen from sleep is of such a kind that he reflects, I have slept well, or my mind is calm, it makes my understanding clear, clarifies it. In other words, but when tamas is manifest in company with rajas, then the connecting memory is of such a kind that he reflects, aha, I slept poorly. In other words, my mind is dull and unfit for work. Why? Since it wanders unsteadfast. The author of the comment describes in the connecting memory of a man just awakened with reference to a sleep in which tamas, preponderating altogether over rajas and sattva, comes quite to the fore. Similarly, in the word, I have slept in a deep stupor, my limbs are heavy, my mind remains unrefreshed and languid, as if it were stolen from my grasp. In the words, of course, not have this. He gives a negative instance of the middle term, ketu, hetu. That is experience, in order to show that the major sadhya, that is, memories, does not exist. Awakening means just after awakening. Had there not been during sleep some experience of this form of a cause, means had there not been an experience of the cause of the transient negation of the fluctuation based upon it, it is said with reference to the time of waking. As an object is made, the sources of valid ideas and other fluctuations have their locus in the emergent mind stuff, and must be restricted because they are enemies to concentration. But that sleep, since it amounts to fluctuation, single in concentration, single in intent, is in no wise a foe to concentration. To this he replies with words, and in concentration, sleep, to be sure, does amount to a fluctuation, single in intent, but because of the quality of tamas, is a foe of concentration, with seed and to seedless concentration, that is, concentration without subliminal impression, and therefore it also must be restricted. This is the meaning. And be very careful not to waste your life in sleep. A third of your life if you sleep right. This can be devotion. Don't waste your life in pursuing the pointless dreams when there are real dreams to consider. Think about what dream you had and maybe interpret it. I share dreams and visions on a playlist. Some of them I interpret, some of them I don't. But the whole point is that, it's mastering yourself, which is the more important thing, not sitting around letting your mind wander about your dreams. 11. Memory, smrti, is not adding surreptitiously asampra mosa to a once experienced object. Does the mind stuff remember the presented idea, or does it remember the object? The presented idea, if affected by the object known, grahya, shines forth in consciousness. Nirbhasa, in form of both kinds, both of the object known and of the process of knowing. Grahana, and gives a start to the corresponding subliminal impression. This subliminal impression of these two kinds changes into phenomenal form by the operation of the conditions which phenomenalize. Vyanjaka. It, sava, that is to say, the subliminal impression, and brings forth in its turn a memory, which also consists of the object known and of the process of knowing. With regard to these two, tetra, it is the case of the idea, buddhi, in the form of the process of knowing and predominant, and in the case of memory, the form of the object known is predominant. The latter, that is memory, is of two kinds, in that the things to be remembered are imagined, bhavita, bhavita, are not imagined. In a dream, the things to be remembered are imagined, whereas in waking, the things to be remembered are not imagined. There are real dreams of spiritual natures, and there are even real psychic dreams. But if it's just your mind reworking things, that may not be the best thing to spend your life focusing on. There's merit to it, of course, but all memories arise out of an experience, either of sources of valid ideas, or of misconceptions and predicate relations, or of sleep, or of memory. Let's see if there's a manifestation of the manifestor of the self. Oh, hey. That coincides with the Islamic view of dreams, that most of them are a manifestation of the a manifestation of what you do yourself. Sorry, my stomach keeps rumbling on you. If you're wondering what no, I can't really imitate the stomach rumbling, but and all these fluctuations have, as there being pleasure and pain, and infatuation, and pleasure and pain, and infatuation, are to be experienced, or to be explained among the hindrances. Book 2, 3-9. The desire is that which dwells upon pleasure. Book 2, 7. Aversion is that which dwells upon pain. Book 2, 8. While undifferentiated consciousness is the same as infatuation, all these fluctuations must be restricted, because it is only upon their restriction that there ensues concentration, whether conscious or not conscious. 11. Memory, smrti, is not adding surreptitiously. I can't. You know what I'm trying to say. Asam pramosa, to a once experienced object. This, not adding surreptitiously, to which is the same as not stealing, for, as object once experienced by means of sources of valid ideas and other fluctuation, as memory, for in the case of knowledge, produced by nothing but a subliminal impression, the object which appeared in that experience, which is the cause of the subliminal impression, is the own peculiar object of that knowledge. But the appropriation of any object in addition to that own particular object is a surreptitious addition, that is, a stealing from other experiences. Why is there any stealing at all? Because there is similarity between subliminal impression and other experiences, since this word, surreptitious adding, some pramosa, is etymologically derived from the word muth, to steal. What he means to say is this: all sources of valid ideas and other fluctuations give access to adhigam, either by the generic or the specific form, to an accessible object. But memory does not go beyond the limits of a previous experience. It corresponds with that previous experience, or corresponds with less than that. But it does not correspond to any experience in addition to that. This fact distinguishes memory from other fluctuations. He puts forth for discussion the problem: does the mind still remember the presented idea? Because experience, anubhava, directs itself towards the object known. Therefore, the subliminal impression resulting from it, tadja, that is, from experience, since it has no present experience of its own, makes us remember only the object known. This is one view of the case. Another view is that the sublimated impression makes us remember only the experience of knowing, for the reason that subliminal impressions are derived solely from experience. After putting forth this problem, the author of the comment, by way of bringing the two views into consistency, decides that remembrance must be of both kinds, insofar as it directs itself towards that object known. The subliminal impression is affected by the object known, but strictly speaking, it makes to shine forth in consciousnesses, that is, it illuminates not only the object known, but also the process of knowing. That is, the form of both kinds of nature of the two. This subliminal impression is thus described as one which has the manifestation, anjana, or the form, akara, of the manifester, vyanjaka, or cause, karana, of itself. In other words, which has the form of the cause of itself. The subliminal impression produces a memory corresponding to the cause of that impression, that is, to the experience, anubhava. Another interpretation would be that this subliminal impression is one which has the manifestation of anjana, or the bringing to the point of fruition, phlabimukhikarana, of the manifester, vyananjaka, or suggestive stimulus, udbodhaka. An objection is made. If insofar as both refer to the cause, that is, to experience, there is a similarity between the idea, buddha, and the remembrance, then what difference is there between them? In reply to this, he says, with regard to these two, the process of knowing, I, perception, the process of knowing, grahana, is apprehending, upadana, and there cannot be an apprehending of that which is already known. Accordingly, an idea, buddhi, is said to be an illumination, bodhana, of that which has not been already got at, adhigata, by this process of knowing. This idea is that which is the configuration, akara, a form, rupa, of the process of knowing, is the predominant, or principal element. Though the relation between the idea and the process of knowing is one of identity, still by predicating the one of the other, the relation may be treated here as if it were that of the principal and subordinate, to memory, those whose predominant or primary element is the configuration of the object known. The same predominance of the object known in the configuration of the object known lies in the fact that the object intended, artha, has already made the object of the one of the other of the four fluctuations. Accordingly, memory is declared to be concerned with objects which have already made the object of one of the other fluctuations. This is precisely what is meant by not adding surreptitiously to the once experienced object. It may be urged that there is even in memory a surreptitious addition. For in a dream, one's parents and others, deceased, who have been experienced in one time and place, are brought by memory into relation. with another time and place, not previously experienced? The reply is the latter, that is, the memory, is of two kinds. That memory which is imagined or mentally constructed things are to be remembered. That memory by which, not imagined, that is not mentally constructed, are real things are to be remembered. This memory of imagined things is not memory, but is misconception, because it is with the characteristic mark 1.8 of this misconception, but it is called memory insofar as it resembles memory, just as that which resembles a source of valid ideas is called a source of valid ideas. This is his point. But why is memory placed at the end of 1.6? To this he replies, all memories, experiences, anubhava, means getting at to an object. Memory is a fluctuation preceded by a getting to an object. Not until after this, getting to an object, do memories associate themselves with the subliminal impression and with the experience. The object is made. The objection is made that a reasonable person should restrict those objects which hinder a man. Moreover, the hindrances affect him. Thus, the fluctuations do not. Why then should these fluctuations be restricted? In reply, he says, in all these. The rest is easy. Yeah, that's super easy. But so if secondary memories are something to be careful of, what should be said about this vicarious? Oh, someone else did the hero deeds. And we got to be careful about, okay, we didn't experience this physically, so saying that our dead relatives visited us or something like that, we got to be very careful about assuming our dreams and visions are exactly of the nature that they physically seem to be, right? Now, what means are there for the restriction of these fluctuations? Verse 12. The restriction of them is by means of practice and passionateness. The so-called river of mind stuff, whose flow is in both directions, flows towards good and flows towards evil. Now when it is borne onward to isolation, ka evalya, downwards towards discrimination, then it is flowing into good. But when it is borne onward to the whirlpool of existence, downward towards non-discrimination, then it is flowing unto evil. In these cases, the stream towards objects is dammed by passionlessness, and the stream towards discrimination has its floodgate opened by practice in discriminatory knowledge. Thus it appears that the restriction of the mind stuff is dependent for the accomplishment upon means of both kinds of practice and passionlessness. With the word now, he asks, what is the means for restriction? He gives the answer in the following Sutra 12. The restriction of them is by practice and passionlessness. If the restriction is to be effected, then both these distinctive activities, practices and passionlessness, must operate together, but not either one or the other separately. Accordingly, he says, the river of mind stuff, the word born onwards to, a continuous connection downwards towards depth or bottomlessness. Practice and discrimination, again, dividing evil, good and evil in these terms aren't, but these are definitely things that whatever your path, stay at it and, be careful in your discernment. Those are essential things to consider. 13. Practice. Abhyasa is repeated exertion to the end that the mind stuff shall have permanence in this restricted state. Permanence is on the condition of the fluctuating mind stuff when it flows on an undisturbed calm. Practice is an effort, prayatna, and with this end in view, a consequent energy, a preserving struggle, the pursuit, anutthana, of the course of action requisite thereto, with the desire of effectuating this permanence. And, okay, the hindering of a man is prichnante. Of these, he characterizes practice by telling what is sthrarupa and what its purpose is, and does so in the words, practice is exertion to the end that shall have permanence in this. This he discusses in the words of the mind stuff. The word unfluctuating means without fluctuations of rajas and tamas. Its flowing on its undisturbed calm is stainlessness. It's the flowing on of the fluctuations of sattva. It is singleness of intent. It is permanence. It is with this end in view that there is practice. In the words shall have permanence there is a pregnant use of the locative case, expressive of the reason for the action, as in the phrase, he kills the leopard for the sake of the skin. Because leopard isn't exactly an animal that you should eat. He makes the word effort clear by a pair of synonyms. A consequent energy, a preserving struggle. That this starts from a specific volition, itcha, he declares in the words, with the desire of effectuating this. The word this refers to permanence. In the words, the course of action, requisite thereto, he describes the goal of the effort. The 8 means of attaining this permanence are the 3 inner means, anga, and the 5 outer means, of which the first 2 are the abstentions and the observances. Book 2, 30 and 32. The sense is that the functional activity of this agent is occupied with the means of the action and not with the results. 14. But this practice becomes confirmed when it has been cultivated for a long time and uninterruptedly and with earnest attention. Practice, when it has been cultivated for a long time, cultivated without interruption, and carried out with self-castigation, and with the continuance, and with knowledge, and with faith, in a word, with earnest attention, becomes confirmed, and in other words, it is not likely to have its object suddenly overpowered by an emergent subliminal impression. An objection is made that the practice is obstructed by emergent subliminal impressions, which are the foes of practice from time without beginning. How does practice conduce to permanence? And reply, he says, 14. But this becomes confirmed when it has been cultivated for a long time and uninterruptedly, and with earnest attention. The same practice becomes a confirmed state only when provided with these 3 qualifications, and its goal, namely permanence, is not suddenly overrun by emergent subliminal impressions. But if, after having done practice of this kind, a man should fail to persevere, then in the course of time he might be overrun, reading Ebbe Buyeta. Therefore one must not fail to preserve. And I guess I will stop there. And namaste. I pray for you.